Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm your host, Nick Sulovich, part of the team at Cherokee Media Group and Auto Remarketing. Thank you so much for joining us for this session titled, How to Win Locally, 5 Marketing Strategies for Auto Dealers. It's all brought to you by our friends at Podium. But before we get started, just a couple of quick items to mention. We are recording today's session, so keep watch of your inbox for a message containing a link so you can review the great information and share it with your teammates. And if you have any questions along the way, you can just use the chat function here on Zoom to ask your questions. So that's enough from me. Let's get right to our featured presenters from Podium, Logan Wooden and Brooks Hartman. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
Great. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone for being here today. We're really excited to talk to you for the next 30, 40 minutes or so. We'll keep it quick, I promise, about winning locally. Obviously, the search landscape is really competitive right now. And so we want to talk about how to stand out in your local area. So I have with me today, Brooks Hartman. Brooks is an account executive, team lead here at Podium. He runs a really great team. Excited to bring his expertise to our webinar today. My name is Logan. I'm a product marketing manager here at Podium, and I cover our retail and automotive customers and verticals. So I try to keep up to date with kind of trends and what's going on in your space, and figure out how to solve the problems that are on the kind of top of mind for you. Brooks, hey, would you like to introduce yourself or say hi to the crowd here?
Yeah, for sure. Take just a brief second to introduce myself. So Brooks Hartman, I've been at Podium for about 6.5 years. I've done several different things here, managed a few different account executive teams, but have really immersed myself in the world of local SEO, driving reviews, text messaging back and forth with customers, and excited to kind of present some of the knowledge that we have for your businesses.
Yeah, thanks, Brooks. If you have questions along the way for the audience, please type them in the chat. We have a few minutes set aside at the end where we'll address those best we can. So we're going to hop right into it here. And I'm going to give us a little bit of an intro for a couple slides, and then we're going to get into really like the 5 strategies that we think you should walk away with today for how to stand out locally and win more customers locally. So first of all, like the current car buying experience is not ideal. There's so many points of friction and pain points. Today's consumers, we're all used to really convenient transactions from other companies, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think we kind of dread the process a little bit when it comes to buying a car. I bought a new car last year. The actual purchase took like 4 hours, which felt really long for me, and probably pretty long for most other consumers today. I was pretty worn out by the end of it. And I think that there's a big opportunity to improve the car buying experience. So we're going to talk about, how we can do that today. 54% of car buyers have actually said they would pay more for a better buying experience. That's a pretty big deal. If you get half of your customers to, pay 2, 3, 5% more, maybe, they're already making one of the largest purchases, that they'll ever make compared to maybe a home or something of that nature. And more than half say they would even pay more. So clearly there's an appetite and opportunity for a better experience. The buying experience can be a competitive advantage in our opinion here at Podium. Consumers often hang on to their vehicles longer than they would like to, because they don't want to go through the pain of buying a new car. But if you can make the buying experience better, 72% of consumers say they would visit dealerships more often. That's repeat customers that you could be missing out on or capitalizing on if your buying experience is a positive one. So that's kind of the core of what we're going to talk about today, is how to improve that. And I mean, it makes sense, right? In today's world, your customers are doing business with lots of digital first brands like you see here on the screen. All these services that give us what we're looking for on demand, maybe in a couple clicks, couple taps on our phone. The bar for interactions has like really been raised across all industries. So one thing that maybe you could ask yourself as we go into this presentation today, like, what inspiration can you take from these modern experiences and modern brands, like the ones you see on the screen, and apply those to your dealership experience? So the long and short of that, I guess, really is that like it's time to modernize the car buying journey. When you think about other retail type businesses, when I can go check inventory, for my phone and place an order, pick it up in store a couple hours later, or get groceries delivered to my house, like that's the kind of thing that I hope to experience with car buying one day. The modern customer journey we found is driven by conversations. Car buying is a little bit more complex than just buying groceries, right? And so there typically needs to be some conversation involved. And so this is how we've seen kind of the modern car buying experience happen. Someone first will search for a new car or a car, not necessarily a new car, even used car, it's new to them, but they'll search for a car and consider. Typically, they'll identify the dealership just based on maybe the model or the car they're looking for. If there's several dealerships that have that model or in stock on the lot, then they'll look at reviews and think about, okay, well, which dealership do I want to go look at or visit, rather, kind of based on their reviews. Often that will take them to browsing some of your other inventory on your website if they choose to look at your website based on your reviews. And then that conversion experience starts to happen, right? They'll maybe reach out, they'll call your business, message your business, maybe that's even on Facebook or social media, visit the dealership. Hopefully they'll make that purchase and then sign up for marketing messages from your dealership and leave you a review invite, which can then kind of continue this virtuous cycle. It can build on itself as you provide more of those good experiences and get more of those positive reviews. So this is kind of how we want to set the stage for the conversation today. The conversation today, like, it starts online. Almost, over 90% of car buyers do research online before they purchase a vehicle. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to any of us. I was surprised by this middle stat though. 14 hours is the average amount of time car shoppers spend researching their purchase online. When I bought my car last year, I probably spent half of that, and maybe almost 10 hours like researching online. But the thing is, when you're doing it on your phone, it always goes faster. So I probably spent more time than I think researching. So that number maybe does hold up the more I think about it. But there's a lot of online research going on, right? This whole concept of like a second screen is becoming pretty popular with consumers now, where maybe they're watching TV, but they're doing something else on their phone at the same time or on their computer. We have a lot of second screen shopping happening. So that may be how your consumers are discovering you. And when they're in that mode of research, they're really not looking to talk to anyone yet. They just want to check out your reviews and see if this is a good place to spend their time. Twice as many automotive consumers start their research online versus in person in a dealership. That's even lower than I expected. I think there's a lot more happening online than discovery happening online than in a dealership today. But I'm pretty biased to my generation, of course. So it's clear that online plays a big presence in this, as you can see. The next step in that kind of digital experience, digital journey, though, is that customers are ready to interact with you digitally as well. We found 90% of consumers prefer to interact via text message, and 65% think texting makes working with local businesses more convenient and easier. It gets a 209% higher response rate than phone, email, or Facebook. So we're going to talk a lot about texting today as a way to take advantage of that customer's like digital journey and digital discovery process while they're learning about your dealership and your inventory there. Again, going to the mobile device and thinking about that is kind of a key tool in this. We found 33% of research time happens on a mobile device. It shouldn't be a surprise, right? We're on our car, or we're on our phones all the time. And usually we're shopping, or browsing while we're doing something else, while we're working, while we're waiting for our dentist appointment, or, what have you. When my wife and I bought our car last year, like, what had we been doing for the 3 weeks prior to that purchase? Like, we'd been on our phones a ton, like looking at cars, reading about the different dealerships in our area that had that model, before we even contacted anyone. So let's, enough of the kind of stage setting. I think let's get into the strategies here, get into the good stuff. The 5 ways that dealerships can win locally today. So Brooks is going to kick us off with the first one. I'll hand it over to you, Brooks. I guess any other comments on that intro before we jump in? I know you spent a lot of time in automotive.
No, nothing additional to add on top of that. So let's go ahead and jump into these 5 steps. So
let's do it.
Our first marketing strategy for auto dealerships to win locally is to show up better online. Without local search results, you cannot win local business. So let's go ahead and check this out. In the last 2 years, Google has experienced a 500% increase in near me searches. What's even more incredible is that most consumers who are searching for a local business, 72% in fact, are more likely to visit the business if it's within 5 miles of the consumer's location. That's an excellent conversion rate for local search results. So you can better show up online. The first thing auto dealerships need to do is understand exactly what impacts search ranking. We've just gotten used to the terminology Google My Business, which has recently been changed to Google Business Profile. When deciding what businesses to serve up first, Google looks at a variety of metrics as it serves up results for each new search. But the key to winning that battle is reviews. Your overall star rating, the quality of your reviews. Think about how long those reviews are, what they talk about, how recent they are, the quantity of those reviews, how often consumers post a review, and the often overlooked metric, how often your business replies to the reviews. All of these metrics play into how well you rank against your competitors when a customer searches for a new car. It's clear that the location isn't the only thing that matters to Google ultimately. In fact, 75% of all clicks and calls go to the top 3 to 5 search results. So how do you improve the quality and quantity of your reviews? Optimizing how and when you ask is the important part. Implement a strategy to ask for customer reviews after every purchase. 76% of customers will complete a review request. Automate the reviews or automate those review requests to reduce staff resources. Send review invites via text message with a direct link to Google. So why SMS? 98% average open rate, not even close to average email open and click-through rates. And 9 out of 10 customers prefer interacting with a business via text message. I would bet that if you guys pulled up your computer or your phone and looked at the unread emails, most of you would probably see hundreds, if not thousands of unread emails. If I were to share my screen right now, I've got 13,389 unread emails. So you can see the power behind text messaging, and ultimately everybody sees the text message come through. If you look at my phone, I don't have an unread text message. I only know 2 people that have unread text messages. My grandpa, who's 80 years old, and another guy I work with that we made fun of the other day. But email, just you don't see it. You skip through it way too much, and it's and text messaging, I see everything come through. You guys are probably the same way. So let's take a look at a case study. Mercedes-Benz in Buckhead. They have a clear example of the proof of positive customer reviews. After implementing Podium to help them gather more reviews, they found a 300% increase in total reviews. Their average star rating jumped to a 4.3, which is a 7% increase in star rating. And now they boast 4.9 times the number of monthly reviews than they were collecting before Podium. Jeff Garris over at Mercedes-Benz of Buckhead said, dealerships get rewarded based on how happy we make our customers and how many cars we sell. And Podium helps us achieve both of these goals. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers on hand here, but with dealerships like this that are getting, seeing their star ratings, between 4.5 stars, 300% increase in total reviews. When we're able to drive those metrics for the business, we typically see traffic from their Google business profile to their website jump dramatically, like 20, 30, seeing even like 50% increases in web traffic, because they're now showing up higher in those search results and getting, more visitors to their website. So, it's not only just about like it's getting that online reputation. It's like that online reputation translates directly into web traffic, right? So yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Brooks. So the next stage, kind of naturally, so let's pretend you have great reviews, a great reputation, you're showing up high in search results. Then what happens next? You're going to get more website traffic, as we talked about, and those visitors to your website are going to want a way to talk to you, maybe ask a question about a particular vehicle. And we need to make that really easy, make it really easy to start a conversation. So that's our second strategy. Have a plan for when your web traffic does increase. How are you going to make it easy to start conversations? A few stats to kind of back this up and show you what we mean. 60% of consumers are searching for a vehicle on a mobile device. 60% of consumers who are searching on a mobile device will end up calling the dealership, right? So it's very high intent traffic. If they're searching on a mobile device, they want to get in touch. They want to call you. Likewise, half of website visitors on a mobile device will expect you to have some sort of web chat or live chat. We can talk about some of the differences there in Q&A if you want to, but it's true kind of across the board. This holds up on desktop as well. On desktop, it's 40% of visitors expect some sort of web chat option, but just a website with inventory isn't enough today. And hopefully that's not new news to anyone here, but we want to capitalize on our active leads on our website and start a conversation with them. And for your customers, the key to doing that is their mobile device, is their cell phone. And that is why texting is so important. We talked about texting a few minutes ago. So you see kind of the demo on the screen here. This is a really ideal experience if someone comes to your website and they can start a conversation with you on your website that turns into a text message, because now this digital conversation, this online conversation, is much more likely to turn into an in-person visit at the dealership or turn into an offline conversation, because they can take that text conversation, they can text you back throughout their day. Like I say, they're going about their day, they're working, they're at the dentist office, they're at the grocery store, and they'll take a minute and say, oh, the dealership texted me back. They answered my question about the car. Maybe they want to see a photo of the interior, from a different angle, or wanted to see something specific. That we see the response rates are so much higher on text messages because folks, it's just a really convenient way to get a hold of them. It's no secret that the cell phone is like a crucial piece of the internet experience today, right? Like mobile websites were like the talk of the town 10 years ago. It was all about your website has to be, mobile first. But now the conversation even has to be mobile first. And so that's where we see a lot of opportunity for dealerships to innovate today. So, how do we capitalize on these conversations that the customers expect? We want to communicate the way your customers want to communicate. Add a web chat option to your website. Make sure you offer personalized help, not just automated answers or a bot. Consumers can smell a bot a mile away today, and we've all had bad bot experiences. So don't be that dealership. Route web chat conversations to the right location. That can be the right dealership location. Maybe you have a service department as well. This can help personalize the experience and prevent the customer from repeating themselves too often if you can assign them to the right team member right away. Convert web chat conversations to text messages. This is probably the secret sauce that we would really recommend thinking about today. Customers don't have time to wait on your site for a live chat response. They just don't. We're all busy. You probably feel the same way just listening as an audience member here. So convert those to a text message. There's several vendors out there who can do this. And you can accommodate both the customer's time constraints and also your dealership's time constraints and make that a convenient conversation for both of you. So starting a text thread is a critical way to take the customer to the next stage in the journey and continue that conversation. Just an example here from America's Car Mart. They were able to increase their total conversations to 63,000 conversations have been started from their website, from this web chat widget that creates a text message. And they actually convert 23% of those. So really impressive results. They're seeing really high intent traffic come through that web chat. Because we did not always see things through the eyes of our customers. This is a quote from Darshan. He says, opening Podium was a very humbling experience. It allowed us to see the gaps in our communication that we continuously overlooked. At the end of the day, it's about what our customers want and what their expectations are. That 63,000 number sounds like a lot. America's Car Mart has, several locations, but we've seen this have incredible, results at single or, 2 location dealerships as well. So this is a tool that's applicable to any dealership, regardless of size.
Okay, awesome. So let's jump into one of my favorites. The last year here at Podium, I was running a team that focused on our payments and text to pay portion. I love all of Podium, but this one definitely has a special spot in my heart. But something all auto service and dealership businesses, I'm sure, are interested in is getting paid faster by text message. Contactless and the touchless experience are the expectations that are here to stay. Even after the COVID-19 pandemic ended, or as it's coming to an end, nearly 80% of consumers say that they want businesses to continue offering contactless payments even after the pandemic. And the reasonings are clear. It's safe, it's fast, convenient, and it's more sanitary. But beyond the safety and the sanitary nature of text payments, it's a more modern and expected option for making a payment. Right now, 1 in 4 consumers walk away from an organization or business that doesn't offer their preferred payment method. That's huge. Customers are walking away from your business if you're not offering the right payment options. But the transaction touch point isn't just a transaction, it's an opportunity. 41% of consumers report that convenient payment methods are a top consideration in their decision to make a purchase. 31% of consumers do not prefer to use their credit card or pay in cash as their preferred payment method. And 72% of consumers report that the changes to their preferred payment methods are likely to last beyond the pandemic. I go to an example of paying a medical bill. All of you have probably been to the doctor, and you don't typically pay at the doctor. Their options to pay are they send a bill in the mail, they'll email you a link to log into their portal, which I never even know what my login information is. I don't even register to do something like that. Or they pick up the phone and call you 10 times. Typically during the workday, while I'm in a meeting, I don't pick up the phone and I don't pay. I usually wait till they threaten to send me to collections. And it's not because I don't want to pay or I'm not going to pay. It's just because it's the most inconvenient process to pay them. So if they were to send me a link through a text message that I can click on and I can say pay through Apple Pay, it's a whole lot more convenient. I'll pay them a lot faster. I'll pay them when I'm in a meeting and I get that text message. So you can see how you can get paid faster, easier for the consumer. The consumer is going to enjoy that experience a lot more. So how can we update that experience for customers and meet their expectations for a better auto buying experience? Here are 3 ideas. Offer contactless, convenient payment options like pay via text, send payment links via text with a direct link to make a payment, which is it's as easy as possible for the consumer. Personalize each message with the customer name and your business name to make sure it's clear who the bill is coming from and who it's for. Here's a really good example of the proof of a better way to collect payments. Van Horn Automotive Group used Podium payments, sending a text directly to customers to request payments, and they collected nearly $8 million in payments. Plus, their collection rate jumped to 92%. That's absolutely incredible. Beyond payments, the Van Horn Auto Group found great success in texting customers about reviews and more. Tina Tosh, who works over at Van Horn, she shared this with us. It's just incredible what our partnership in Podium has done to modernize our dealerships. Not only is it simple for my sales and service staff to communicate with customers, but it's just as easy for the customer to receive direct links to all of our review sites.
Yeah, that's really neat. Thanks, Brooks. So we're going to transition to the next strategy now, which is SMS marketing or text message marketing. This is a newer strategy that is kind of a new marketing channel. A lot of dealerships and businesses across industries are trying to figure out how to use SMS marketing right now. And the early results are super exciting. So we'll walk through some of those. First of all, 75% of consumers, 3 out of 4 say they want to receive offers via text message. The text inbox is kind of that new frontier in customer communication, and people are open to receiving messages right now. There is some stricter legislation or regulations around the text message inbox. It's more protected than the email inbox. Brooks, to your point earlier, 13,000 unread email messages. No one wants their text message inbox to look like that. So there's some more strict rules about how and who we can message via text. There's some really great software platforms out there that can help you do that. Podium's one of them, but it's a real opportunity to look into. So let's look at why. You may be thinking, I'm already sending a lot of email marketing. Do I really need to look at another channel? But let's look at performance. So, by the numbers, email on average, you can get 18% open rates, 2.6% click-through rates. If it's a really good, compelling email, you may get something higher, even get closer to 8 or 10%. I've run email marketing programs for years, and the rates are terrible. You have to send so many emails to see any kind of return on it. Think about how much time your team has spent building and sending promotional emails, for what really, right? Email has the lowest conversion rate for automotive specifically, at only 0.8%. So the numbers get even worse in the automotive space. What about direct mail? Maybe your dealership does some direct mail, right? Average open rate is around 42%. The response rate, again, less than 2%. So we're still really, really low on response rates. Again, think about how much time and resources can be dedicated or have been spent on local mailers in your area. Outside of building a brand connection, maybe a brand recognition aspect, it's really hard to see what kind of return you get from these. Text, however, the numbers are astonishing. To Brooks's point earlier, very few people have many unread text messages. The 98% is the average open rate for a text message. 95% of those are opened within 3 minutes. It's immediate, right? It's got over 200% higher response rate than phone, email, Facebook, as we touched on earlier. 66% of consumers think it's really convenient to text with a local business. And 75% of consumers are okay receiving text from brands when they've opted in. So we see consumers are open to this right now, with brands that they trust and they like. they're happy to get text messages. It's 1.8 times, almost 2 times more preferred than any other communication method. And we've seen from our database, coupon redemption is 10 times higher through text than other types of coupons. So again, that message is going to get opened, it's going to get read. If it's a coupon or some sort of promotion, it's 10 times more likely to be redeemed, right? So that is real return, real actionable marketing data there. This comes back to like today's consumers expecting that modern communication experience, convenience, personalization, human-like connection, that can all come through texting. So let's look at how to actually increase customer engagement and campaign response rates with text. So here's a couple options. One, use SMS campaigns. Try them out to connect better with customers, increase sales. We worked with a customer recently, and they had an awesome campaign they sent out. It said, hey, we're doing a trade-in or a buyback campaign. Get your trade-in value in 30 seconds. Click this link, right? And they saw click-through rates were through the roof. Everybody was curious to see what their trade-in value would be. And in a week, they sold 5 cars from that campaign in a week. Second idea, build your opt-in list with natural customer touch points. After service or during web chat, during an initial appointment, after an initial visit, the list really builds itself if you do it right. You can include a button on your email distribution list that says, hey, get on our text message list for more up-to-date deals or what have you. And third, send personalized offers directly to customers' mobile devices via text. Feel free to experiment a little bit here. Again, it's kind of the frontier and the new strategy on the block. So we're still figuring out what works well. We found a few best practices. Short and sweet tends to be better, 160-ish characters. Think of it about the same length of a tweet if you spend any time on Twitter. Emojis, GIFs, pictures, they all really help conversion because it feels like a more natural human conversation, kind of one-to-one. So another case study we have is from Moss Family Automotive. They use Podium to run a targeted SMS campaign and had some great results. This was from one campaign, basically sent to 3,000 subscribers, just short of 3,000. They saw almost 6% open rate, which if you think back to our email campaigns is lower, but the response rate was a 3.8%, which is much, much higher, right? So just from one campaign, they saw, I'm sorry, this was a 6% click per open rate rather. So this was for everyone who opened it, 6% clicked on the link. And then almost 4% of those responded via text message and texted them back after that campaign. So way higher engagement than email. And it's the kind of the dirty little secret is that it's way easier to create a text campaign. There's not all the fancy graphics involved in email. It's really more straightforward. It's all about kind of keeping it short and sweet and creating kind of a good ad copy, but not as much, graphics or creative involved. So Devin Stotts, he said, I would definitely recommend Podium or text marketing really for the platform cost and what it does. Is probably one of the best for the money out there. Text and chat are where it's at, which sounds like a pretty good billboard to me, but Brooks, let's wrap it up here. Take us home.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, the fifth and final marketing strategy for you guys to win local. Keep the conversation going. Here's the deal. So 90% of consumers prefer to speak with a business via text. And I've found this to be true. A few years ago, I was doing a lot of my landscaping. We moved into a new house. We had to do the landscaping. I was reaching out to fencing companies, reaching out to sprinkler companies, sod companies, anything that had to do with landscaping. And I would go on to Google. Obviously, I'd find them based off of their star rating, how many reviews. I'd dig into some of those reviews. So And I'd call the best ones. I'd go onto their website, reach out to them. A lot of them were pretty busy and they didn't typically answer the phone, but I would leave a message with my information for them to call me back. And you can imagine how that went. They call during business hours, they call when I'm in meetings. And so there was a lot of phone tag. I'd fill out the contact us form sometimes, but I noticed a couple emails went to spam and I never saw their email response come back to me. I really wanted to text that business. I wanted to be able to go onto their website, see a bubble to text into it. Obviously I was working at Podium, so I knew about it, but I wanted to text because then they could just text me back of like, hey, when is a good time for us to come back out and give you a quote? And it would have been such an easy, simple process. And I would have gone with the first business that would have been able to text and get back to me quicker. And you guys running businesses, being in the auto industry, recognize how important it is to get back to your customers to win the deal. Typically it's the first business to get back to somebody wins that deal. So texting, it's proving to have an unfair advantage. But here's the gap. Customers are still using old school channels, phone and email mainly, at an incredibly high rate. But whose choice is that? 2/3 want the ability to text with their local business, or 2/3 of customers want that ability, and their needs are not being met by the business around them. Imagine the implications for a local business who adopts texting and what it can do for them. Of course, you can offer text messaging, add a web chat option to your website, and make an effort to send SMS campaigns. But if those conversations are not connected, you're going to have ultimately a bigger problem. And that's why it's important to centralize all of your customer communication into one single platform. Use an interaction platform or management platform to send all conversations to one single inbox. Give your staff the benefit of full customer context instead of disjointed or siloed conversations. Collect NPS feedback, Google reviews, and more with an open text conversation with customers. Plus, run real-time reports and get clear data on what messages convert and increase engagement. And finally, automate the things that you can automate to make it easier on your team. Automate appointment reminders and payment requests. Plus the right platform, you can transition from a text conversation to a video chat. Show the customer the car in ultimately real time. Here's the final customer example, the proof of connected customer communication. Ken Garf Hyundai implemented Podium and increased their star rating to 4.5 stars, increased their total reviews to more than 2,000, and increased their monthly inbound leads by over 400. They basically said texting our customers lets us service them while keeping them safe, ultimately. So let's just do a quick recap of what we've covered today. For our auto dealers to win locally, it's important to show up in local search results, make it easy to start a conversation, offer modern payment options and get paid faster by text, use SMS marketing to increase customer engagement, and then keep the conversation going with a connected and centralized inbox for all customer communication.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooks. Obviously, we're with Podium, so we'll do a little pitch at the end here. If you're looking to try out any or all these marketing strategies, that is what we do. That is our mission, and Podium can help. If you're not familiar with us, Podium is a leading customer communication platform for local businesses. We exist to help local businesses win. It's designed to improve every stage of the customer lifecycle, so you can engage the right customer on the right channel at the right time. Start more conversations with customers, searching for your business and services, convert more of those into appointments and paying customers, and retain and grow brand loyalty, online reputation, and get public advocates for your business. Today, Podium works with over 100,000 businesses around the globe. 1 in 3 cell phone users in the US have texted a business through Podium. So many of you, maybe even on the call, we're helping local businesses around the world win with more revenue and market share, compete with a modern on-demand customer experience, and improve speed and business efficiency. That is it for today. Nick, I'd love to turn it back over to you if we have any questions in the queue. It's been the last few minutes kind of answering questions here.
Absolutely. And great presentation, gentlemen. A lot of great information to help stores of any size. And if you do have any questions for Logan Wooden and Brooks Hartman of Podium, just use the chat function here on Zoom to submit your question. And gentlemen, just a couple of points to revisit from your great presentation. First off, the topic of reviews that say a dealership has struggled to collect reviews in the past. What might your suggestion be to when a new program has started for those review collections and requests? What should a dealership do with their existing customers? How do you see the balancing act of trying to get new reviews from new customers, from existing customers, trying something different that perhaps would be different from what was tried in the past?
Yeah, definitely. I can take that one, and then love to hear your comments as well, Brooks. We see a lot of stores who have relied on email invitations in the past. And as we talked about, those are ineffective for a lot of reasons. So if it were me at a dealership and we were going to try text messages, chances are you have a whole DMS full of contacts information and phone numbers of folks who you've interacted with in the past. I'd think about pulling a list of those who have purchased or had service or visited the dealership in the past 12 months or something, a relevant time frame. You don't want to reach out to someone who bought a car from you 5 years ago and ask for a review, right? But people who have transacted in the past maybe 6 to 12 months, you can send them all a list or send that entire list a review request. Say, hey, and you can be pretty genuine about it too. Consumers understand that reviews are important. We all rely on reviews so much when we're shopping now that you'd say, hey, we're trying to build our online reputation, and we'd love to get a review from you. Here's a link. So that's something that I would consider. But Brooks, what comes to mind for you on that?
Yeah, I typically recommend the same thing. The only thing that I would potentially add to that is the goal for a business is to have a good consistency of those reviews. So driving 10, 20, 30, 40 Google reviews consistently every single month, I would maybe split up some of those. So if you have a database of, let's say, a couple thousand customers that you want to send to that had come in and bought a car in the last year, maybe I'd split that up 500 a piece for the next few months, just to kind of split up the amount of reviews. But we've had businesses reach out to their old database and drive 50, 60, 70 reviews all at once in that first text message that they sent out to 1,000 people or however many they send them out to, right?
Cool. Yeah, that's really smart. Very
nice. Well, Brooks, let's continue with you and Logan, your perspectives as well. Continuing the topic of reviews, you've each mentioned Google often during the presentation, but what are maybe some other sites that dealerships should watch? Does Facebook still matter in that regard, or some other places? Brooks, let's continue with you and Logan, your thoughts as well.
For sure. I mean, ultimately, look, like Google is king in our space. Like 95, I don't know the exact statistic, but I would predict it's probably 95, 98% of people will start their search for a business on Google. And so the first reviews that they're going to see they're going to be your Google reviews. And so that would be like the main thing that I focus on for that purpose. But in all reality, in the dealership world, there's more sites that matter as well. Like people are finding cars and businesses on Edmunds.com, Dealerator.com, some of those dealer specific websites, which Podium can push reviews to those different websites and help you manage those reviews that are coming into those separate websites too. Facebook, it matters. Like If you guys have a Facebook page for your dealership, then obviously you're getting people to see your dealership on Facebook. And so having a high rating on all of those platforms, Google, Facebook, Edmunds, cars.com, dealerrater.com, whatever they are, is just going to be that much more powerful. But ultimately Google is king. And that's where most people are going to see your reviews first.
Yeah, there's not much I could add to that, Brooks, other than, maybe this could vary from store to store and dealership to dealership. So get to know your customers and what review sites matter most to them. But you want to have a presence on all of the review sites that matter to your customers is really the long and short of it, I guess.
Again, the special guest experts for today's webinar, 5 ways to win locally, marketing strategies for auto, are 2 of the experts from Podium, Logan Wooden and Brooks Hartman. And if you have any questions for these gentlemen, just use the chat function here on Zoom. And gentlemen, turning back to another portion of your presentation that you had mentioned, and Logan, perhaps we can continue with you, and then Brooks, if wanted to revisit, sure. It was part of your part of the presentation, the pay via text model, and specifically in the dealership space, when might be the best suited to use that path, to have a payment via text pathway for a dealership to leverage. What do you think, Logan? And if Brooks, you'd like to revisit that topic as well.
Brooks is probably more knowledgeable on this than I even. So I'm actually going to have Brooks speak to this one first.
Yeah, so we have dealerships on Podium's platform that use the text to pay link. They also use our full payments platform as well. We do have card readers that they like to use. Well, let's talk specifically about the text to pay and some of those situations that dealerships like to use our text to pay functionality. There's a couple different instances that come to mind. So the first one is like taking deposits from customers. A lot of times they might not be in the dealership, but they want to put a deposit down on something. One thing that we've been looking for a car recently, a new car that's I mean they're 6 to 9 to 12 months out, and if we do want to put in a deposit, it's as easy as like, hey, we made up our mind that we want to put a deposit down. They can send me a text to pay link and I can pay through that deposit. Other things that the dealerships like to use is our ACH transfer. So not only can you pay by credit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, but you can also do an ACH transfer as well. And so having the process for a customer to go to their bank and get a check from the bank and then bring that back over to the dealership. A lot of times it's a spouse, husband and wife going together. They talk themselves out of buying a car. You lose that sale because they had time to go to the dealership and then, or not to the bank, decide not to do it, come back or just not come back at all. Right. So if you can get them to pay right then and there on the spot when their emotions are high and they're ready to buy, they can do that through an ACH transfer. Other things that we've been seeing is dealerships a lot of times sell cars to people who are out of state or they're 50, 100 miles away, and it's inconvenient to come into the dealership. It's a very easy way to ultimately collect payment.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Well, closing moments here on this webinar with 2 of the experts from Podium, Logan Wooden and Brooks Hartman. And gentlemen, to round us out, you've done an outstanding job recapping the power and the capability of text messaging. But if there are stores that might still want to leverage their email resources, how do you all see it as maybe combining the 2, perhaps leveraging both potential capabilities, as well as any other closing thoughts you'd like to share? Logan, we'll go back to you, and then Brooks will round us out.
Yeah, sure. No, I understand that question definitely. Email still has a place in marketing, right? It's still good for building brand awareness and staying top of mind. even if response rates and conversion, may not be as high. So this comes back to kind of the marketing mix that fits your dealership and fits maybe your target customer demographic. There are some customers who would still prefer email, despite the data shows that across all generations, texting is going to be more preferred. Email still has a place for sure. So the way I've seen the two used well together is email kind of becomes maybe a lower cadence, like a monthly cadence. Maybe it's a newsletter, announcements, periodic inventory updates, what have you. There's some really good email systems that allow you to do, personalized inventory updates, and that's always really powerful. Personalization is really powerful no matter what channel it's on. Texting can be, because it's more immediate, it's a little bit more personal. It can be used for higher value promotions, things like a VIP list maybe, or VIP customers, as well as, promotions that you want to really get in front of people because it's, a particularly exciting offer. That can be a better space for text messaging.
Very good. Brooks, the last word here.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, email is still around for a reason. Obviously, it still has its place, and it still works in certain situations. We just notice our world moving more and more towards text communication and the convenience of that. But when I talk to customers about their marketing strategy and what they're sending out to build that brand recognition, to keep their business top of mind for those customers who either are ready to buy right now or will be ready to buy in 6 months to a year down the road, you've always got to keep your business top of mind for them. And text messages enhances the email campaign. I don't recommend typically for businesses to completely scrap email campaigns and email drips. I basically teach them, like, hey, enhance the process with text message, because you're going to capture some still through email that maybe you don't get on text message, and you're going to capture a lot on text message that you're not capturing on email. So ultimately both go hand in hand, and you can utilize them both to enhance your marketing strategies and your communication with your customer.
That's Logan Wooden and Brooks Hartman from Podium. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing so much great information for this webinar, and definitely great tools to implement for all size dealerships. Gentlemen, thank you again.
Thank you.
Nick, thank you.
And on behalf of all of us at Cherokee Media Group and Auto Remarketing, we thank you so very much for joining us, and we look forward to having you again next time.